Hello students, let us continue our discussion in capacitance today. So in the last class we discussed about the or we derived the expression for capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, right? But there the medium which was present between the plates of the capacitor was vacuum or air, right? So and the expression that we obtained was C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, absolute permittivity of free space. Now, when it comes to capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, so this is a parallel plate capacitor, this kind of view, okay. When a certain medium is inserted between these two, what kind of medium? A dielectric, okay. So, it is about capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when a dielectric medium is introduced between the plates. Okay. Now, these two are the plates of the capacitor and we are introducing dielectric medium. Okay. So, dielectric, two kinds of them are there, polar and non-polar, you know that. Any kind of them, that is fine. Now, actually you do not have the derivation of this for your board exams, but there are few important points to be understood here, that is why I will be taking the derivation, not as detailedly as in the reference, but what are the important topics, the concepts or the points that you need to understand, those points I will be handling. So, now the derivation goes similar to that of the previous one, okay. Previous derivation you did not have anything kept inside the plates of the capacitor. Now, you have certain dielectric medium kept, right, and this dielectric medium kept under the influence of external field, right. So, what will we do? We will connect these two terminals to the battery. When we connect them to the battery, electric field is generated inside the plates or the space between the plates like this, right. Say this is positive and this will be negative. So, electric field sets up like this. When the electric field sets up like this, the molecules of the dielectric gain net dipole moment, right. So, you should go to two class before, there you have what happens to a dielectric when external field is applied. So, this is a dielectric, say we had polar dielectric. When we have polar dielectric, the initially without the application of external field, they arrange randomly, right. When we actually apply the external field, we see they get polarized, okay. Polarized means arranging in a particular way. So, this is how the individual molecules of the dielectric gets arranged themselves. So, with what kind of charge on this surface? So, it is negative, right, and this will be positive. So, here we can see an accumulation of negative charge closer to the positive plate and positive charge closer to the negative plate, right. So, we have all understood this, right. When we apply the external field, they tilt like this. When they tilt, certain negative charge is developed or accumulated here and certain positive charge is accumulated here. This is inside the dielectric I am speaking, okay. And these two plates are closer to them, or we can say they are connected physically, touching them, they are fine. Even though there exists a gap, that is fine, but now it is completely filled with this medium, okay, certain dielectric medium. Now, the similar kind of expression goes on, but here the electric field inside it, you remember the electric field expression of the previous derivation, we took it as E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, right. That was the net electric field. Here it is not simply sigma by epsilon naught, instead it is sigma minus sigma p by epsilon naught. Here comes sigma p. What is this sigma p? Sigma p is the charge density on the surface of the dielectric due to the polarization. Okay, when we apply the field, so certain charges will be accumulated on either edge of the ends of the dielectric, and hence we have sigma p, a charge density in the conductor, in the dielectric chosen in the opposite direction. Okay, I mean in the opposite way, or I can say, see, the plate is positive and the dielectric has developed a negative charge closer to that. So this contributes for sigma, the plate, and the one inside the dielectric, this part, this contributes for sigma p, and this is positive, that is negative. So the net charge would be cancelling, I mean subtracting each other. It's the difference which matters. So E becomes equal to sigma minus sigma p by epsilon naught. So where sigma p is the charge density. So this is what sigma p, okay, surface charge density due to the polarized dielectric. Okay, the dielectric gets polarized and sigma p is what related to that. Now this sigma minus sigma p is actually related to sigma itself, right? What is sigma? Sigma is the charge accumulated on either ends. More the charge you accumulate, more the sigma p you get, right? More, so it's like this: more the charge you accumulate on the plates, more the applied electric field. Following? More the sigma deals with the charge accumulated on the plates. Okay, sigma p deals with the charge accumulated on the inside the dielectric. More the sigma, more the charges gets tilted or polarized, and hence more sigma p will be, right? So this difference, sigma minus sigma p, is actually, the net is also proportional to sigma itself, right? Because more the sigma, more this sigma minus sigma p. Following? So this sigma minus sigma p depends on sigma. More the sigma, more the difference of more the tilting effect, and more this would be seen. Okay, so we can say, or in order to remove the proportionality, I will introduce this sigma minus sigma p is equal to sigma by k. In some reference they have directly taken that as epsilon r, relative permittivity, that is fine, and in some references they have taken that as k. Okay, this k or epsilon r both are fine. Okay, k or epsilon r both are fine here, both of them represent the same quantity here, and but they do have their different names. Okay, they are one and the same, but different names, different symbols, they are one and the same, keep that in mind. So k is called the dielectric constant of the given medium. So k is the dielectric constant of the given medium. Epsilon r is the relative permittivity of the given medium. You know that very well, right? We have discussed it about it previously. So it's relative permittivity, right? So these two are one and the same. Okay, they are the same quantity with two different symbols, two different names. Okay, they are finally the same. Okay, like you can put either k or epsilon r, both are fine. So now when I substitute this sigma by k into the place of sigma minus sigma p, the expression for electric field that I get is sigma by k epsilon naught, right? Instead of sigma by epsilon naught, I now have sigma by k epsilon naught. Okay, so finally the rest of them are similar to that of the previous derivation, and anyhow you don't have this derivation in detailedly for board exams. So I will be taking only, as I said you before, I will be taking only the important points regarding, or the conceptual points regarding the derivation. So this is one important point, the surface charge density developed in the inside the dielectric due to the polarization sigma p, and how the difference sigma minus sigma p is proportional to sigma. Okay, more the sigma minus sigma p, right? and we have removed it using the constant k, which is kept in denominator. And the final expression, I will be going for directly for the final expression, rest everything is mathematical connection. So, the capacitance for this particular parallel plate capacitor with dielectric inside it is given by k epsilon naught A by D, which is very similar to that of the previous expression. The only extra term that we are getting here is k, right? K, which is dielectric constant or relative permittivity of the given medium filled inside the plates of the capacitor. Okay. So, this k or epsilon r relates to or corresponds to the medium which is filled inside the plates of the capacitor. Okay. So, this k can be, so this medium can be considered as the medium with dielectric constant k, or I can also say this is the medium which is filled inside the capacitor which has the relative permittivity epsilon r. So, you choose different mediums, you will have different k value, different epsilon r value, they are same, epsilon r and k are same. So, different the medium you choose, different the value of k you will get. So, that is how it goes on. So, the final expression for capacitance is C is equal to k epsilon naught A by D when you have a medium filled inside it with a dielectric constant k. When you do not have a constant a dielectric medium filled inside, which was the previous expression, which is simply epsilon naught A by D, right. So, if you choose the very same parallel plate capacitor, choose the same one, same area, same distance of separation, the same one, you remove the dielectric medium from that. Okay. Once you remove the dielectric medium, the expression of capacitance becomes C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. Okay. Right. So, the previous derivation. Now, the same capacitor now has the capacitance epsilon naught A by D in the absence of dielectric medium, right, or I can say in the presence of vacuum or air, right. So, when now I just want to define this k, that is why I am doing all these things. So, now I can divide these to C by C naught. Okay. Take this equation 1, equation 2. So, this is important equation, you should remember this. C is the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor with a dielectric medium of dielectric constant k filled inside it, and area of the plates are A, distance of separation between the plates is D. And C by C naught, rest of the terms will get cancelled and k is the term which will be left alone. So, C by C naught becomes equal to k. This dielectric constant can now be defined as the ratio of capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when a certain medium of a k, a dielectric constant k, is the ratio of a certain, okay, it is C by C naught, no, quite simple, ratio of capacitance of the capacitor in the presence of medium, in the presence of a medium to the capacitance of the same capacitor in the absence of that medium, or we can say in vacuum, following. So, dielectric constant of a medium is defined as the ratio of capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor in the presence of a medium between the plates to the capacitance of the same capacitor in the absence of the medium or in the presence of vacuum, C by C naught. So, that gives you the a definition for dielectric constant k. This can also be epsilon r, okay. Wherever you have k, you can have epsilon r, that is fine. Now, this k, and since its ratio, it is unitless and dimensionless quantity, okay. So, this is about capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor when a dielectric medium is introduced between the plates. So, this is important as of your exams are concerned, you can be asked to find the capacitance. This expression is important. Do not need to worry about the derivation part, but remember this part, sigma p, charge density due to polarization, and k term dielectric constant, that is important, which is unitless, just a number, epsilon r and k are one and the same. So, now we will move ahead for the next derivation, combination of capacitance. Now, before we go for the derivation of capacitance of combination of capacitors, for the previous expression C is equal to K epsilon naught A by D. So, when you are asked a question like one you have it in the reference, what are the factors which influence or affect the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor? So, you can see the dependence of capacitance on various other quantities here, right. Capacitance K is C is dependent on K, how? Directly proportional. So, C is dependent on dielectric constant of a given medium, right, and C epsilon is a constant, no need to worry, it won't change for any medium that you choose. A and D, they are variable, they can be varied. So, C increases when A is increased. So, C the capacitance is also dependent on the area of the plates chosen, and it is also dependent on the distance of separation between the plates. And now you can be asked like how what are the possible ways to increase the capacitance of a capacitor. So, you can say by increasing the area of the plates, right, you increase the area of the plate, capacitance increases. By decreasing the distance of separation between the plates, right. So, you decrease the distance between the distance of separation between the plates, the capacitance increases because it is inversely proportional, and then you introduce a medium of higher dielectric constant between the plates. Following? We introduce a medium between the plates which is of higher value. Choose the medium with higher K value, higher dielectric constant value. So, these are the possibilities of increasing the capacitance of a capacitor. It is just a mathematical relation which should be interpreted for the variation of C with respect to the other quantities, right. It is a standard question, you can find it in the reference, it is there. Now, going for combination of capacitors. See, this is similar to, not exactly the same, okay, similar to the combination of resistors, which we will study in the next chapter. But now, so we had a single capacitor under discussion so far, right, two different kinds of them, one with certain medium field, one without any medium field between the plates. And now we are moving ahead for combination of capacitors. How and all can we combine more than one capacitor? Say we have two capacitors with us, which are the two different ways of connecting them with the battery. One, we can put them in series, right, and the other we can put them in parallel, right, like this, like this. So, now let me go for series combination first, then go for the parallel combination. So, when I have a series combination of capacitors, okay, and I will connect this to battery. Say this battery is of potential difference V, okay, any battery that we choose will have potential difference, that itself what makes the charges to move from one terminal of the battery to the other terminal of the battery. Now, let the capacitors chosen. So, now individually these capacitors chosen will have their own capacitance, right. C is equal to epsilon naught A by D, let there is no medium, even though there is medium it will have its own capacitance, this will have its own capacitance. So, let the capacitance of this capacitor be C1 and the capacitor of this capacitance be capacitance of this capacitor be C2. Now, the potential difference between this point and this point, okay, these two terminals is V. So, this point is actually directly connected to this point and this point is directly connected to this point of C2, right. So, terminals of the battery are connected to two different capacitors like this. So, whatever the potential difference that you have here will be the same potential difference here, 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 because it is a simple wire. So, it will have same potential from here to here, it will have same potential, and from here to here it will have same potential because it's a conductor, right? It's completely connected. So since it's a conductor, anywhere on the point, any point on the conductor will have the same potential. So now this V itself will be the net potential between this end of the capacitor C1 and that end of the capacitor C2. So you have V as the potential difference between these 2 points. So when you have potential difference actually varies in series. Okay, you will get to know in detail when we discuss about current electricity. Now let us assume that let V1 be the potential between this point and this point. Okay, so the net potential is V, and from here to here let it be V1, and from here to here let the potential difference be V2. So across C1 we have the potential difference V1, and across C2 we have the potential difference V2 now. Following? Now this is about the potential differences. So this V1 plus V2 will give us V, the net potential difference. Okay. So this is not much discussed. Let me give a quick review or recall of the previous potential difference concept. Say A and A, B, C are 3 points where you have different potentials. If I say VA is the potential at A, VB is the potential at B, VC is the potential at C, potential. Okay. Potential difference between the points A and B will be say VA minus VB, right? And the potential difference between points B and C will be VB minus VC, right? Now the potential difference between A and C, these two will be VA minus VC, right? So this is the potential difference VA minus VC, this is VA minus VB, this is VB minus VC, individual potentials. Okay. So now look at this, you add these two, minus VB plus VB will get cancelled, you will get the VA minus VC value, which means potential difference between these and the potential difference between these 2 points when get added will give you the potential difference between these 2 points A and C. Following? So you can put some numerical value, say here it is 5 volt, 3 volt, 2 volt. So difference is 5 minus 3, 2, 3 minus 2, 1. So the entire difference 5 minus 2 is 3, right, which is 2 plus 1. Following? 5 volt, 3 volt, 2 volt. 5 minus 3, 2. 2 volt is the potential difference between A and B. 3 minus 2, 1. 1 volt is the potential difference between points B and C. Choose A and C. So 5 minus 2, 5 minus 2, 3. 3 volt is the potential difference between point A and C, which is equal to 2 plus 1. So potential difference between these 2 points plus potential difference between these 2 points will give you the potential difference between these 2 points, VA and VC. Following? The same method is applied here. So I can write now V is equal to V1 plus V2. Okay, clear with us? Fine. Now you see what's happening to the charges stored in them. See, when you have a single capacitor, what actually happens? As soon as we connect them to the battery, this is the positive terminal, so it takes all the electrons, not all, electrons from this plate of the capacitor and pulls them to this end, pushes them to this end. So that is why this became positively charged and this became negatively charged, right? And now we have one more capacitor connected here, right, with different capacitance, right? So this is the second capacitor connected, this was the previous one, first one. Now you see, before we connect either of these to the battery, okay, assume I did not connect them to the battery, so the initial condition of the combination, the series combination would be like this. right? No battery, totally uncharged, no charges either here or here, no charges either here or here. So the net charge in this combination, see, no charge can come from this point to this point because there is a complete vacuum here or a dielectric here. Charges cannot flow between these 2 points. Similarly, these 2 points, charges cannot flow. So this is an electrically isolated system here. Following? So no charge can flow into it or out of it. This H-shaped one. Follow it carefully. And now, when we connect that to the battery, what happens? So this plate will give the electrons to the battery, and those electrons will go and accumulate here. So due to the collection of positive charge here and the negative charge here, these 2 plates will experience the electric force. I mean, the electrons inside them will experience the electric force, and hence, so this is negative. So negatives, which are electrons from this plate, are actually repelled due to the accumulation of this negative charge. Who accumulated this negative charge? Battery did, right? So the electrons in this part of the second capacitor will flow into this and accumulate here. So since they have left this plate will become positively charged. Now whatever the charge that we have on this plate will be equal to this, we know that, right? So say I had plus Q accumulated here, so the transfer of electrons occur till this becomes minus Q. And if I have taken, since I have taken the electrons from this, whatever the amount of charge that I took from this itself has become a negative charge here in this plate after connecting it to the battery. So this will be definitely minus Q. So if this is minus Q, this will be again plus Q itself, because so and so many electrons have flew into this plate of the capacitor C1. So whatever the number of electrons left the plate are giving rise to this positive charge. So number of electrons came in are giving into this negative charge. So number of electrons left here are equal to number of electrons came here. So it's plus Q, this will be minus Q, conservation of charge. Following? So when it comes to charge accumulation, when we connect the capacitors in series, we can see both the capacitors will acquire the charge of Q itself. Okay? So whenever we say capacitor has the charge Q, it means that it has plus Q here, minus Q here. We generally say it has charge of Q. The net charge on the capacitor is always 0, net charge, but we don't worry about net charge, it's about the charge on either of the plate, or I can say magnitude of charge on either of the plate, which is simply Q. And now both the capacitors has the charge Q. So C1 is the capacitance, V1 is the potential difference, and Q is the charge accumulated. So Q1 is equal to Q, Q2 is also equal to Q, right? So now in order to get the effective capacitance, right? What is effective capacitance or effective capacitor? A capacitor which gives us the same capacitance as of the combination of capacitor can be considered as effective capacitor, right? So let this be CS, capacitance, effective capacitance of series combination. Following? So this is the effective capacitor now. It's actually representing the same amount of capacitance due to the combination. Whatever the capacitance that you get due to the combination can be obtained by this single capacitor. It doesn't need to be existing physically, okay? It's just a assumption which will help us to get the effective capacitance of C1 and C2 put together in series, okay? So now the same thing follows here. V is the potential difference across this, the same kind of battery connected, and Q is the same charge accumulated on it, right? Because Q is the same amount of charge that is pulled from this end, and Q is the same amount of charge pushed here. So the same amount of charge Q will be stored or in the effective capacitor CS. Following? And now when we come to the expression which connects capacitance, charge accumulated and potential difference, okay, the very basic expression, C is equal to Q by V, right? Remember that? This is the basic expression. Now let me write the same expression for all three capacitors. Which are the three capacitors? C1, C2, CS. C1, C2 are individual capacitors which are connected in series. CS is the effective capacitance of this combination. So C1 becomes equal to Q1 by V1 and C2 becomes equal to Q2 by V2 and CS becomes equal to Q3 by V3. Okay. So what is Q3 here actually? Q3 is simply Q itself and V3, this is V, simply V, the net potential difference, okay, because these two are the terminals of the battery and the same two terminals of the battery are here. V is the potential difference, V is the potential difference, okay. So now among all this, now let me write this as simply, okay, let me substitute their original values from the diagram and write them again. C1 becomes equal to Q1 is Q, V1 we have certain V1, different V1. So C2 is equal to Q2 is Q itself by V2 and CS is equal to, what is Q3? Q3 is Q, V3 is V, the net potential difference, okay. And now I need to connect them. I need to connect CS, C1 and C2. What shall I do for that? So which is the factor which connects them initially? Look at this. This V is equal to V1 plus V2, right? I can make use of that. So let me rewrite the expression in terms of V1, V2 and V. So V1 becomes equal to Q by C1. So V2 becomes equal to Q by C2 and V becomes equal to Q by CS. Now let me substitute this equation 2, 3 and 4 in equation 1. What is V? V is Q by CS, which is equal to, what is V1? Q by C1 plus, what is V2? Q by C2. Now look, Q is a common factor in this RHS part of the equation. I can take that as a common factor. What will be left inside? 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. And you have Q here in the LHS also. So they will get cancelled. Once they get cancelled, the final expression for effective capacitance will be 1 by CS is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. Yes, this is the expression for effective capacitance. You can stop here or you can move a step forward, that's fine. So if 1 by CS is this, what is CS? CS is the reciprocal, okay. This is actually equal to 1 by CS is actually equal to, you take the LCM C1 C2 by C1 plus C2, right, or C2 plus C1, C1 plus C2 becomes, which is 1 by CS, right. So CS becomes equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. So either of these expressions can be memorized, which is very important, and the derivation is also important, okay. Normally asked for 3 mark in the board exams. Very easy derivation. All you need to know is the potential difference add up to give the net potential difference. V1 plus V2 will give you V, and the effective capacitance is CS, which will have the same amount of charge stored as of these two, okay. That concept has to be kept in mind, and this is the expression, final expression. This is where you can stop. This is the very important derivation as of the boards are concerned. Now this ends the derivation. Let me take a special case out of it. See, this is when we have 2 capacitors connected in series, right, only 2. What if we have n capacitors, n number of capacitors connected in series, okay, n number of capacitors connected in series, then what happens is 1 by CS becomes equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. So when you have n capacitors given or more than two capacitors connected in series, it's always advised to go for this basic expression and expand the expression to get the final expression. So 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 ends with 2 capacitors. When you have n capacitors, it's 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 plus so on, where C1, C2, C3 are the capacitance of individual capacitors connected in the combination, right? So that makes 1 by Cs. So you can work for Cs now. Now this is one of the extension of expression. Now what if all the capacitors, okay, next case, what if all the capacitors connected in series are of same capacitance, which means when C1 equal to C2 equal to C3 equal to C4, then what happens is 1 by Cs becomes equal to, all of them are same, 1 by C plus 1 by C plus 1 by C plus 1 by C, which is n by C, right? So that makes Cs is equal to C by n, okay. So this is for the combination of n capacitors in series with same amount of capacitance in all of them. This is when you have different capacitance, n number of capacitors. This is the case of only 2 capacitors. Clear on this? So these are all important for the problems for, and this is important part of the derivation, okay, from there to here.